Hey everyone, how we doing today? This is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit, and today we're going to review a hand sent in by Fundiver. This is a hand from 1-2, where Fundiver has a free play from the blinds and has to figure out what to do when he gets counterfeited. So let's check it out. Okay, so in this hand we have 4-3, there are a bunch of limpers to us, and we decide to knock our option. Totally standard so far. This is very common, of course, when you're playing live poker, that you're going to get a bunch of limpers like this. This is a very common situation, and Fundiver said in his write-up that he didn't exactly remember stack sizes, so he just gave everyone on average 100 big blinds just to make it easier to illustrate the point. There's a check, we decide to bet, and in this kind of situation, there's essentially two different options you have. One, of course, is just to fire it out, go forward from there. Number two is to look for a check raise opportunity. And oftentimes in live games, I'm looking for a check raise opportunity because it's one of those where I think if there's a bet, there's going to be a cascade of callers, and I can check raise nice and large, get a nice big pop brewing, and really punish someone who's going to get sticky with ace-x or 4-5 or any of those kind of hands. Now, if this is the kind of table where if you check raise, no one's ever going to give you action with anything other than 2-pair plus, obviously that's something to definitely consider, but in most 1-2 games, I'm thinking that that's going to be the case. You can punish people who get too sticky with ace-x. And if you are going to go the betting route, and the betting route isn't terrible, there are plenty of tables where I do bet things like this, then I'm definitely going to bet on the larger side of the spectrum and probably just pot it, or at least bet $10 and go from there. I think going only half pot is going to give people really good prices. Most everyone has position on you, and yeah, you have a great hand, and yeah, you can start generating some value. But the lower and lower your 2-pair is, the more and more you have to worry about counterfeiting. And like I alluded to in the intro, there's going to be a counterfeit situation here, but this is definitely something that you want to be keeping in mind. So if you can punish more now, right, if they're going to be inelastic with ace-x now, then bet larger now. So something like 10 or 12 or, even 15, honestly, in a lot of 1-2 games, that's a number that I'll choose just because it's easy. It's 3 red chips, and then I just go forward from there. So this is kind of the way that I would approach this situation. I think betting half pot is leaving money on the table in most spots. So we end up getting a call, end up going heads up to it, and hero decides to continue betting. And again, I think the bet is too small. If the whole goal is to make sure that we punish him when he has something like ace-x, then let's make sure to do that for a nice large size. So I would go here for 20 instead of just 14, but here we go nonetheless. Get called. And we, of course, face that counterfeit on the river, and now we have to decide what we want to do. So our decision on the river here is fully based upon the range of hands we've been assigning all the way through for C3. So what range of hands did they open limp under the gun, call our flop bet with, call our turn bet with, and get to the river with? And in a situation like this, there's kind of like two major ways I would build a range in this spot. Either C3 is very ace-x heavy, so they, limp pre-flop maybe with something like ace-5 or something like ace-8 suited, whatever it is, got callie on the flop, callie on the turn, and here they are. And then I ask myself, would they ever fold ace-x if I decided to bet here, yes or no? And in a lot of 1-2 live games, I'm going to assume that that is no, right? If someone's going to be bad enough to open limp ace-8 suited from under the gun, I typically don't assume that that same person is going to have really any fold button post-flop when they still have that top pair. So if that's the case, keep that in mind. Or you could say, okay, well, this is the kind of person who could have got to the river with things like maybe 4-5, 5-6, maybe pocket sevens, any of that kind of stuff. And maybe this is the kind of person who there is some fold equity with, and I can actually just turn my hand into a bluff and go from there. So keep that in mind as well, right? This isn't just like, oh no, I got counterfeited, so I have to check fold, or I got counterfeited, so I have to instantly fold if they bid into me. There are other ways out of pots, but you have to be really good with your hand reading all the way through to find holes in their range where you can exploit them and get aggressive and fight for the pot and get them to fold, and, again, when to turn your hand into a bluff. Now, this really boils back to the fact that we're playing live 1-2, or I assume this is live 1-2, and because of that, I'm assuming this is a spot where there's probably not going to be a tremendous amount of fold equity. I think if C3 did call the flop in the turn, you're looking at more like ace-x and 5-6, and if it's 5-6, I think it's 5-6 suited, and there's only 4 combinations of 5-6 suited, so I'm not really super worried about that. There's just a lot of ace-x, and I don't think ace-x goes anywhere here, whether we bet or, even if we check raise, I'm not 100% sure that ace-x goes anywhere. They might just talk themselves into calling because, LOL, I have 2-pair. That's the way a lot of these live 1-2 players think. So because of that, I don't think there's really many other options other than just hating life, going for a check fold, and getting out of it. But again, I don't want you to just always check fold every single time you get counterfeited, but remember, counterfeiting is going to happen more and more often the more and more you have like the bottomest two pairs. But always make sure you're at least considering what are my other options, what range do they realistically have, are there any holes in that range that I can exploit, or are they just going to be pretty inelastic, showing up with a lot of top pair and showing up with stuff that unfortunately I'm just not going to win against, so I just have to hate life and check fold. So Fundiver, thank you very much for the great hand. If you or anyone else has a poker hand you'd like me to review in a video, feel free to send it to me directly at splitsuit.com/send. You can always ask me a poker question at splitsuit.com/ask. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or thoughts on the hand, feel free to drop a comment. Otherwise, I'll see you back next week with a brand new video, and in the meantime, good luck out there and happy grinding.